my first pin video come to life. I talked about how the rule of law in the Constitution becomes reshaped because we allowed for someone who subverted the supremacy clause, and adhering and actually producing a mobilization in order to try to unlawfully extend his literal presidency, which resulted in insurrection of January 6th. We see this because he pardoned his co-conspirators, right? Technically, he's not actually legitimate. Why? Because the provision says that in order for someone to not count, to remove that disability, they have to have a vote. Have they had a vote? No. The certification didn't count because that was the popular vote. That was the electoral college. That was in Congress. So the fact that there wasn't a vote means that his legitimacy is up in the air. So he's just playing house in the White House. And it's weird that we're giving him the legitimacy because the Democrats want to have integrity. They want to keep the integrity of the institution by pretending like it's working, because otherwise it would be chaos. Otherwise it would be anarchy. But as a result, they are feeding us into a tyranny. And this is the thing. They make you believe, hey, call your senators, call the Republicans. Do you think the Republicans are scared of being voted out right now? No, because they have someone who can help them with that. They have people who can fund their campaigns. They have people who can convince you to believe whatever it is they want you to believe. So to think that we can vote this out, to think that we can use litigation, because by the time litigation is successful, or maybe it's not, maybe it's momentarily successful, he ends up going down up the chain of the judiciary, he ends up going to SCOTUS. What do you think they're going to decide on? You see, they've been molding Clarence Thomas and they have a hold of our courts. So every single branch that should be defending us is compromised. Democrats no longer have the numbers. What are they going to do? That's why they're just sitting on their ass and saying, 2 years, 4 years, bullshit. And in the case that they actually have had a plan and that plan is coming to fruition, say some sting, it is sadistic. It is sadistic and it is cruel and unusual punishment against American people, because now, you see, they're going. You see, they went for the migrants, they went for transgender Americans, they went for women, and now they're just going for LGBT plus in general, and also anyone who's not Christian. February 6th, executive order eradicating anti-Christian bias. Don't we have a non-religious, a multi-religious country? It's literally in the Constitution, the First Amendment. Why is this executive order in existence? You're going to say, they're going to challenge it. Yeah, but he's going to continue doing things. And it makes you think, because it seems like Congress was only bent out of shape in calling this a constitutional crisis when it came to him touching the federal agencies, as they should. However, it seems to me that they make much more of a big deal about the federal agencies and USAID, which is extremely important, than civil liberties. And maybe that's what he intended to do, just overwhelm the channels with executive order. They're going to go for the federal agencies and they're going to, not look at civil liberties. And then you think that the Democrats can defend us, right? And then you're going to go ahead and blame the left. You're going to blame Gaza. However, Americans don't vote historically on foreign policy. Rather, if that was a reason, it wasn't the main reason. The main reason was a party who has eroded away trust for a long time. 2016, there were sketchy things going on. They literally sabotaged Bernie Sanders' campaign. You're going to say, well, he wasn't going to win anyways. Well, let him lose just in general. Why they have to sabotage him? He looks really sketch. Then the DNC team went ahead at the court case where they were being challenged for sabotaging his campaign and saying, hey, yeah, our mandate says that we don't have a favorite. However, that's not legally enforceable, which is true. However, that doesn't make you seem trustworthy, does it? So in reality, we can see that it is the Democratic National Committee as a collective, the coach rather than the team, that has eroded the trust from the people. And it's not just that team, because the next team inherited, and I'm sure this team would inherit the same thing. Why is it that they're so quiet? Because they're inheriting decorum, they're inheriting the same political strategy. And you're gonna say it needs time. Well, every single day he's eroding the Constitution, he's removing the Constitution, and by the time you wake up to know that this is actually serious, you won't actually have any constitutional protections anymore. They told us they wanted a Christian nation. They told us what they wanted, Project 2025. And Project 2025 isn't new. It was decades that they've been telling us this, but Democrats sit on it. They sit on it because they like the chaos that Republicans bring. They like that chaos because it brings desperation from people. And they leverage that in order to get people to vote. But people cannot vote if they are depressed about what's going on. They need hope. But the Democratic Party is really bad at positioning itself as a party worth voting for, apart from being the lesser two evils. And that's what got us this past election, assuming no fancy stuff, right? Because there's not enough radicals when it comes to Gaza to lose us the election. I know that because I've organized in these spaces. Think about it. The clothes that you're wearing, do you know whether it was made by slave labor, by cheap labor? You don't know, because we really don't care about the impact that our consumer or even vote has on other countries if that does not impact us. For example, Vietnam, it was because Americans were going to Vietnam and losing their lives. Gaza, so rather, it was a DNC strategy that was given to Kamala Harris that just failed. I spoke about in my past videos a long time ago the fact that if her campaign is to appeal to the right, even if we get Republicans to vote for Harris in the presidential election, they're going to vote right and local. But as a result, you're not retaining the progressive vote because you're over here trying to appeal to the red side, which makes you look more to the right, which makes people not have that incentive to go out and vote local, because why does it matter if the Democratic Party is basically the Republican Party? That is the perception, and I cannot judge that, because a progressive party should be a progressive party, but no, they're talking about strategy, and their political strategy is in alignment with their stakeholders. What is the best benefit to their actual donors, not us, because we don't have enough money to actually matter. That's why when we email them, they give us back the same cookie cutter response, right? You think that Coca-Cola gets the same cookie cutter response? And really, I guess the whole point of this is that traditional mechanisms won't work. Congress has failed. The judiciary has failed because it allowed for us to get this far. They said, hey, we don't want to get involved in the election, so let's not decide on this case right now. Let's wait, because obviously we don't think he's going to win. They knew he was going to win, and that's why he's here. So the courts failed, the executive failed, like all branches failed. All DC has fallen, literally, and the reason why is a constitutional crisis isn't because one failed, it's because all three are incapable of actually fixing it. And the wild thing is that it should be a fourth branch, that is we the people, right? But we don't have a constitutional recognition, so we don't actually have constitutional authorities to do anything about this. However, which puts us in a reality where there's no resolution because the Constitution is so incomplete and it has so much ambiguity. However, the parts that there isn't ambiguity, like the fact that we are not a Christian nation, that there should not be a preference of religion, doesn't matter anymore, because he just creates executive orders like he wants to, and we don't do anything about it. Let's say, call your representatives, go out and vote, do this, do that, which doesn't work. It doesn't work, and that's what makes me rage against Democrats so much, because they're telling us stuff that doesn't matter. It's like saying, hey, you can just put a little bit of water on this fire and it's gonna work, but you need more water than this, and it's offensive. It's like what the Mario Party said when they were getting him into prison. It's offensive to the American intellect, because no matter how they push it, I think they had a plan, but those plans didn't go into fruition. So now they're kind of stuck in a reality that they could have prevented had they maximized power, but they chose decorum. They chose to be bipartisan, and they chose to expect for the Republicans to do the right thing. That will not work. So we're going to be stuck in this tyranny unless it's dissolved from the bottom up. Because, A, he came for the immigrants, and then he came from transgender. He came for women. He's coming for LGBTQ in general. He's going to come for all of us. What you going to do? Congress is just going to say they don't got the numbers.